Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Good evening. I'm Myra Arthur alongside Ernie Zuniga. We are coming to you live for the Tobin Center for the Performing Arts, where tonight there is a big show for a very big cause. The Together for Texas concert is happening at 7 o'clock tonight, all to raise money for those affected by the Hill Country floods.
You're going to see a lot of great here tonight, of course, and the concert actually gets underway at 7 o'clock. The doors, as a matter of fact, just opened moments ago. But there's an unbelievable lineup here tonight. Some big-time stars, including Los Lonely Boys, Reckless Kelly, Lyle Lovett, Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, and so many more. You can watch the show. If you can't be here, you can watch it live on KSAT 12 coming up at 7 o'clock with a free KSAT Plus app.
You know, over the last 6 weeks since the flooding, of course, people at home have seen the images of all of the devastation. We have told you about the more than 100 lives lost from places like Kerrville, Hunt, Ingram, Centerpoint, to so many other towns in that area. It will very likely be years before they recover from what happened on July 4th.
And we both know, like, some of these parts will never, ever be the same again, just because of the sheer magnitude of the flooding, something we've both seen in person. But it's fundraisers like this one here tonight and so many others that have been held before this, and people just giving back that's going to make this process, this recovery process, a little bit easier. So a short time ago, I had a chance to visit with the host for tonight's show, the comedian Steve Trevino, who actually lives in our area and has ties to this community. He's the one who initiated all of this and got the ball rolling in the days right after the July 4th flooding. So we're going to hear from him coming up in just a little bit. But in the meantime, we're going to take you to Ingram, of course, one of the areas that was hit so hard by the flooding.
You know, a business owner there is one of the many still dealing with the aftermath of all of this. Her RV park was heavily impacted by the floods. A family that was staying there for the 4th was killed in those floodwaters. Erica Hernandez spoke with Morena Guillen, who is the owner of Howdy's Bar and Chill and the Blue Oak RV Park, about her very long road to recovery.
There was no indication that, that was going to happen.
The water came fast, too fast. In the chaos, Lorena Guillen and her husband tried to get everyone out, but the river took over before she could save everyone.
Around 2 a.m. on 4th of July, Lorena came down this pathway to check on the Guadalupe River. She said at the time it was still fine, despite that it had been rainy. But only 2 hours later, this entire area was covered.
That's something that only God knows. But if I had at least, I know this for sure, if I had at least 15-minute warning, we would not have had any loss of life.
One family, John Burgess, his wife Julia, and their 2 young sons were staying at the Blue Oak RV Park. Lorena's husband tried to help them, but the water was too strong, and the family was swept away. 21 RVs in total destroyed, along with all the infrastructure in the area.
From something so beautiful, and it became so monstrous for these people.
More than a month later, the hurt is still fresh.
You're just going for the first 2 weeks. And then, it hits you like, oh my God, what are we gonna do now?
There's been very little to no outside financial assistance.
No, there is nothing. Realistically, it's gonna be about a $2 million to rebuild it.
With no income coming in and interest rates from 4 to 8%, they are trying to figure out their next move. But through it all, Lorena says the community has been her lifeline.
Nobody has done more for us than the community. No organization, no private or government or nonprofit.
She knows the area will be beautiful again someday, but for now, she's taking it one day at a time. Her family will keep fighting to rebuild, but more than anything, she hopes the people who lost everything or their lives are not forgotten.
The hurt of knowing that people die, it's that is the part that it hurts. You learn how to deal with it, but I don't think it's ever gonna go away.
Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
You heard Lorena say there that the community has been a huge source of her help. Well, this community that is showing up here tonight as doors are now open and the crowd is beginning to fill in behind me, they want to be part of that help too. And remembering the people that we lost in those floods, that is also part of the process going forward. We want to show you their pictures so that we can remember their faces and so many of their names. The people taken by the Hill Country floodwaters on July 4th, so many lives cut short. We are sharing these images with you. It's our effort to remember them and their families who will never be the same. All a reminder of why fundraisers like what is happening here tonight at the Tobin are taking place. It's to help rebuild the towns that were destroyed. And the spirit of the Texas Hill Country will be here all night and throughout this newscast here at the Tobin Center for the Together for Texas benefit concert that, again, you can watch right here on KSAT and KSAT.com and the KSAT Plus app once it gets started at 7. But for now, we're going to send things back to Stephania Jimenez, who is in the KSAT studio, to get you caught up on news of the day. Stephania.
Thank you, and we'll see you in just a bit, Myra. Now we're going to take things outside and give you a live look at the traffic out there. And I checked, there are no major accidents to speak of right now, which is awesome. So we're just going to scroll through our area so you can take a look at the different TransGuide cameras. And everything looks to be going pretty easy at this hour. Always a good sign. In other news now, we know that at least one person is dead after a car crash this afternoon. It happened just a little bit before 2 o'clock on Loop 1604 near U.S. Highway 87. That's where Bexar County Sheriff's deputies say that one car collided with another head-on and then rolled over. And one of those drivers died at the scene. Whenever you hear about fire and chemicals, never a good combination, and that's what was behind this fire. A viewer sent us this video to us. It broke out this afternoon at a factory near Wurzbach Parkway and Nacogdoches Road. So the flames broke out at a factory that refurbishes airplane parts. About 1,000 gallons of hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide were leaked, but we're told that they were heavily diluted, so there's no threat to the public. Luckily, all 100 factory workers were also evacuated and nobody was hurt. A second person has died after investigators say a man shot 3 people during a fight in a West Side apartment. San Antonio police say that now 44-year-old Wilfredo Lopez is facing capital murder charges. Lopez is accused of shooting 3 of his family members on August 10th, and one of those victims was his eldest son, 22-year-old Jose Rivera Vasquez. He died from his injuries. The second person who died has been identified as 28-year-old Anabeli Vasquez, and she passed away over the weekend. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office says that Lopez is now in jail on an ICE detainer. San Antonio leaders are going to have to make a choice. Will they call a timeout, or will they continue negotiations to fund a new Spurs arena? City council members will make that call on Thursday. Our Garrett Berger now joins us live outside of City Hall. And Garrett, how can you tell us about a deadline? Because we know that that's what's being discussed before voters go to the polls in November.
There is no deadline, at least not officially, beyond what they impose on themselves. And that's why, and now that the city staff and the Spurs have hammered out the set of terms for a $1.3 billion arena, the two factions of city council are fighting over what to do next, either pass the terms or hold off. Now, no matter what they do, voters across Bexar County will be asked what they want to do with the county share of funding for the arena when they head to the ballot box this November. Now, some council members say voters need to know what the city terms are going to be if they are going to make an informed decision during that election. However, Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones wants a pause for more economic info to come in. She points out that the existing economic impact study on the arena was paid for by the Spurs and says the city needs an independent report and numerous community feedback meetings before council votes on any terms. But given that the election is just 11 weeks out, we asked what that could mean if that could mean voters are going in with insufficient information.
I would argue they would be going in, if they didn't have that, they would be going in with insufficient economic information to begin with, right? They need, the people deserve an independent look at this. They don't deserve to be, just said, hey, here, trust us on this. Trust but verify.
So what are those terms that are being proposed? Here are some of the basics in the draft sheet that council will consider on Thursday. Up to $489 million from the city to help pay for an arena, up to $311 million from the county, and at least $500 million from the Spurs, who would also cover any overages. Now, the mayor was in the minority when she pushed for a pause on the Spurs arena deal earlier this month. Now, earlier today on that press conference on City Hall steps, she was backed by dozens of people from community groups who have voiced some skepticism about Project Marvel. But it's still not clear if she has the votes on council. We have seen that she's turning up the heat on council members, making some pointed remarks during her press conference today and calling on people to call their council member if they agree with her. Whether or not that's going to get her across the finish line to 6 votes, we'll find out on Thursday. Live at City Hall, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News. Myra?
All right, Garrett, thank you. Back out here live at the Tobin Center here tonight. You know, a big reason for this Together for Texas fundraising concert is to help people out after hundreds of homes, businesses, properties were destroyed in these hill country floods. But one aspect that you might have not thought as much about is how wildlife was affected by those floods. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about the impact to animals and how nature is already making a bit of a comeback. Stay with us. Welcome back here to the Tobin Center, where a benefit concert kicks off in under an hour at 7 o'clock tonight to raise money for flood relief. You know, just as humans have come together to help each other in the recovery after the hill country floods, so has nature. Texas has the second highest biodiversity in the entire country, but some of that was just wiped out along the Guadalupe River during those July 4th floods. Our Courtney Friedman walked along the banks of the river with a conservationist who talked about the impact of that flood on wildlife and how some of the animals have now started to return to their homes.
I think we're about 5 weeks out from July 4th, and nature's already starting to take back its place.
Immense relief for Azalea Rodriguez with the conservation group Defenders of Wildlife. She represents the 18 counties that make up the hill country.
So you will see some deers, owls, opossums. You can even see armadillos out here. Lots of bird species, a lot of endangered species like the golden cheek warbler, the Guadalupe darter, sunfish, bluegill, carp.
What was it like for you when you saw what happened to this river and these habitats?
Oh gosh, it was heartbreaking.
But the eerie quiet that lingered after the deadly floods, now filling back up with the songs of nature.
There's a red-shouldered hawk that flew into the tree. So this is a feather. It's probably either like a black vulture, something that's more of a raptor bird. I'm already seeing deer droppings. You see these fish species right here. One. Yeah. And with fish, bring birds, bring insects.
Inside these waters is where Rodriguez focuses on a very important endangered species.
It's called a Guadalupe fat mucket. It's one of those symbiotic relationships. It's not just a mussel species, but it also interacts with fish. So one adult mussel can filter 8 to 15 gallons of water in just a single day, and so we need that. We need that clear water quality, that good filtration system.
Are there any left in here, you think?
There might be, but right now it's hard to say. There haven't been any surveys done just because search and rescue is right now is the priority.
State agencies are already preparing in case the mussels were wiped out to reintroduce them once the toxins in the water clear out.
Originally, everything was gone, and now you're starting to see a little bit of life again.
Centerpoint flood survivor Angela Simons is starting to see her beloved river look healthier.
What does that make you feel?
I hope that it'll get better.
Rodriguez shares that hope.
Nature will always find a way to take itself back and heal itself.
Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
The impacts of this flood just so far-reaching, which is yet another reason why fundraisers like this Together for Texas concert happening here tonight are needed. The crowd is getting bigger behind me, which is exactly what we need for a fundraiser like this. We hope to talk to some of these folks who are coming in just a bit. But for now, Stephanie, I will send it back to you in the studio.
Myra, and thank you so much for that. You know, it's 100 degrees out there right now, so this is really the perfect place to be right now, the Tobin Center.
Yeah.
indoors,
Air
considering all of this heat. Now, I'm looking at the sky right there, looking nice and blue. But, Adam, you're telling me that we can get a little something this week.
Yeah, we'll have some rain and good chances, actually, throughout the week, the entire week. Now, it's not going to be equal opportunity every day. But, for example, tomorrow we get up to that 40% category, so scattered from 2 p.m. all the way to 7 p.m. That's the main time frame. Here's the latest Futurecast, and as usual, you can say it with me, don't pay close attention to the exact placement of the showers and storms here. Just the coverage in general, I think, is the best representation of what this computer model is showing. But some downpours popping up with some lightning and thunder. I can't completely rule out a brief severe storm or two. I just think it's unlikely. It's not very likely to happen. What's more likely is some localized street flooding in some neighborhoods where the water's rushing down the street, because this will come down hard and for a short period of time, 1 to 2 inches possible. Locally, potentially even more than that. And you see into the afternoon and evening, even some of our southern and western counties getting in on some of that activity and the much needed rain, especially west of Highway 281, and locally San Antonio and westward to the Rio Grande is where we really need that rainfall, especially Medina County. Now, once the sun sets, our rain chances poof, they're pretty much gone. But they're looking good the rest of this week, especially Thursday stands out because the upper level heat high, it's building over the Four Corners region of the western U.S. And with that clockwise circulation around it, that puts us in a northerly flow aloft. So the steering winds are coming from the north, and within those steering winds, we'll have ripples in the upper level flow, not to mention potentially even a few more notable disturbances that would give us some extra energy, especially on Thursday, and then potentially even Friday into Saturday, just a little extra upper level support to get things going. So here's a look at the rain chances for the entire week. 40% chance tomorrow. Wednesday, we're down to 20%. Not as many ingredients together and available on Wednesday, we think. But then Thursday stands out as the day we'll have the most numerous showers and thunderstorms and, of course, downpours, because we have some deep moisture in the air and it's just waiting to be squeezed out into some of those downpours. Now, the key here is the upper disturbances and whatnot in these showers and storms will be progressive. They're not just going to sit in one spot and continuously rain. So localized street flooding possible, but that right now is the primary and really main concern. Really quickly, Hurricane Erin, Category 4. This is a whopper just east of the Bahamas, and it's, even though it's not hitting land directly, it's impacting the east coast of the U.S. with higher waves, higher surf, and even the Bahamas, the islands there, island of Bermuda. This is going to stay out over open water, but here's a good example of how, even though it's out over open water, it's going to impact the islands and even the eastern coast of the U.S. So over the open water, wave heights of about 42 feet within this major hurricane, between 40 and 43 feet, even as it turns northward as a Cat 3. We're talking waves of 16 feet potentially in the Outer Banks of North Carolina and on the island of Bermuda. Of course, it's the worst at the center of the storm, which is going to be offshore as it steers around the upper high, the Bermuda High, anchored off in the open ocean. Now, here's another area of disturbed weather that we're watching for the likelihood of development over the next 5 to 7 days. It's out over the central Atlantic. It's headed westward. It's likely to become our next tropical cyclone. 101 today. It's our 16th triple-digit day. Right now, we're at 100. And for the most part, upper 90s, near 100. The usual afternoon routine and evening routine. Tomorrow, 90 at noon, 98 the high temperature. So upper 90s to near 100 tomorrow. But then we trim off a few degrees as those rain chances go up. So we're looking at mid-90s, 94, 95 Thursday through Saturday. All right, we're going to toss a quick break. We'll be right back with a lot more, especially live from the Tobin Center.
Camping with KSAT, powered by Thomas J. Henry.
Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer is sticking with Joe Milton for Dallas's preseason finale against the Falcons this Friday. Schottenheimer says he wants to see how Milton performs after a tough start. The 25-year-old is 26 for 47 with 265 yards passing, a touchdown, and 2 picks in 2 preseason losses. As for where that leaves the Cowboys' other backup option, Will Grier, well, the Cowboys feel they know enough about Grier through his previous history and practice. Meanwhile, Schottenheimer says he doesn't plan on opening up the playbook any more than he has for Friday's contest.
You can agree or disagree with it. I saw the Giants the other night, and they were running all kinds of different things, and that's great. Good for them. That's what they believe in. Dave's a hell of a coach, but, that's their philosophy. Our philosophy is let's see these guys compete. Let's see these guys do simple better. And we haven't done it well enough, and that's okay. And I'll stand up here and own that. I've never said that, oh, yeah, we're in a great spot, but I'm also not concerned. We're going through the process, and we're competing every day, and we've got a chance to do that a couple more times before we have to make some really difficult decisions.
Well, good news for those eager for former Longhorn Jaden Blue to see live reps in the backfield. It's looking like we will see him play in Friday's preseason finale as he's trending positively from a knee injury.
Having Cole Popovich was a great addition. Just his mindset and what he brings every day to the O-line room as a coach and as a person, as a man. And we don't do nothing but just feed off of it.
New Texans offensive line and run game coordinator Cole Popovich, a distant relative to Coach Pop, garnering high praise from his rookie O-tackle Ariante Ursary. And already we're seeing improvements offensively for the Texans, showcasing a healthy balance of passing and running the ball in their win versus Carolina this weekend. Well, Ohio State named Julian Sayin the starting quarterback for its Week 1 date with the Texas Longhorns today. Sayin is a player Steve Sarkisian said he, quote, recruited hard out of high school. Texas will, of course, counter with their own gem, Arch Manning. There's a massive amount of hype and expectation for Manning entering his first year starting at QB, but you could say the same for the entire program, coming off of a 13-3 season and a loss to the Buckeyes in the college football playoff semifinals. It's almost revenge time. Here's how the Longhorns are preparing.
Even though we're not in school, all of our practice times are what they would be next week when school starts. Now, granted, our guys aren't, showering and going to study hall and to class and so on and so forth. So we have to create some things for them in the afternoons to simulate what their normal game week would look like. But we kind of started that. And with that, we've already started to sprinkle a few things from a game plan perspective to get a head start on those things. Naturally, here the next 2 weeks, we got to really start to incorporate crowd noise. We've used crowd noise more in training camp the last 2.5 weeks than we have in any training camp, but even now over the next 2 weeks, a much more crowd noise.
G League Coach of the Year Scott King headlining the Spurs assistant coaches for the 2025-26 season. First-time head coach Mitch Johnson has Sean Sweeney, Corliss Williamson, and Tim Martin rounding out his bench for his debut season as head coach of the Spurs.
All right.
Big step.
Yes, huge. Thank you so much for that. I want you to stay right where you are because we're going to take you back out to the Tobin Center for the Performing Arts with Myra Arthur, and that is live right after the break. Don't go away.
Welcome back out here. I am Myra Arthur live here at the Tobin Center for the Performing Arts, where we are now 30 minutes away from the Together for Texas concert, all to raise money for Hill Country flood relief. We've got live music already happening behind us. The crowd's been getting into it, and this crowd has been getting bigger by the minute. Our Avery Everett is also out here with us live. She's been talking to folks as they are coming through the doors here tonight. Avery, what are people telling you about just what it means to them to be here tonight?
Well, Myra, you hear those cheers. It's loud in here, and it's filled with so much love here at the Tobin Center. I've been meeting so many people who say music is healing, and the money from this benefit concert will go to the people who need it most now, more than a month after those deadly floods. So I want to introduce you to some ladies I met from the Ronald McDonald House. I have Liz and Sandy as my designated spokespeople tonight. So tell me, when did y'all decide to come in, and why is it so important to be here?
I think we're important to be here to support the communities of Kerrville and all the surrounding areas, just to raise money for them.
When you heard about the Hill Country floods, I mean, how heartbreaking is that as just Texas?
It's very important for us Texas to support each other and any kind of cost we may need for them. So that's why we're here.
And y'all do that on a daily basis with the Ronald McDonald House.
We sure do.
So tell me, Liz, who are you most excited for among this lineup? I mean, there's a lot of big names, but it's for a big reason too.
Yes, Fluffy. And if he's listening, we love him to come and visit Ronald McDonald House.
He is a part of the San Antonio community at this point, so he needs to come to the community too. To see so many people here, I mean, I'll leave it up to either of you to answer this question. To see so many people here together for Texas, I mean, what does that mean to y'all?
To us, that just means a big thing. That means we're all here together. We're all here for one basic reason, and just to support each other.
There's a lot of love in this building tonight. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. I hope you have a great time tonight with everything going on. It's like the Monday of the century here in San Antonio, right? So nice to meet you all. So we are going to be continuing our coverage here through 10 o'clock on the Night Beat tonight. We'll actually have a full recap of the biggest, best moments. So if you can't stay tuned for that entire 3 hours concert, we'll have all of the highlights on the Night Beat tonight. Myra, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, Avery, thank you so much. It looks like the doors to the theater are now opening. People are beginning to take their seats. We have more coverage from the Tobin Center to bring your way, including a conversation that our Ernie Zuniga had with the man who really put this whole thing together, Steve Trevino himself. We'll share that coming up. But for now, we're going to send things back to Stephania in the studio. Steph.
All right, my friend, enjoy the show. So we're going to see you soon, Myra. Now, finally, we know when the man accused of killing a 75-year-old woman in her San Antonio apartment will go on trial. Paula Boyd was found dead in her apartment in October of 2015. And after a mistrial, missing evidence, and years of delays, the man charged in her killing will have a retrial. It's the next big case that we're featuring on our open court live stream. Our Erica Hernandez catches us up before tomorrow's testimony.
Paula Boyd, also known to some as Paulita, was beloved by many, an HEB employee who coworkers say was a favorite to many customers. But one day, those coworkers grew concerned. On October 21st, 2015, after Boyd did not show up to work or answer her phone, a coworker went to check on her, but found a gruesome crime scene in her apartment. Boyd had been beaten, strangled, sexually assaulted, and robbed. Her autopsy revealed she died of blunt force trauma and strangulation. With no sign of forced entry into the home, investigators turned their attention to other factors. A day later, they noticed Boyd's debit card was being used. Surveillance cameras caught a man named R.C. Curtis trying to use Boyd's debit card at a gas station. 2 other men were also accused of using Boyd's cards. Curtis, no stranger to Boyd, he was married to her granddaughter at the time. In November, Curtis was arrested for credit card abuse and fraudulent use of identifying information. During Curtis's arrest, police collected his DNA. 4 months later, results revealed that his DNA matched to DNA found at the crime scene.
Well, the victim did know the suspect and probably felt comfortable opening the door for the suspect when he went in the house.
On March 1st, 2016, Curtis was officially charged with capital murder. Though it wasn't till years later, on November 1st, 2021, that he sat in front of a jury. Days after the trial began, it was halted. The defense was arguing that prosecutors revealed new evidence too late, including 2 DVDs that could point to other possible suspects. Judge Stephanie Boyd decided to declare the case a mistrial. A month later, even more new evidence was discovered. The state submitted new blood evidence from the medical examiner. In 2022, a retrial was expected, but the defense filed an appeal to stop a retrial from happening. It would take 2 years for that to be settled. In the summer of 2024, an appeals court denied the request and the retrial could move forward. Judge Stephanie Boyd set the date for December 2024. A couple days before a jury was to be picked, another delay. Defense attorney Charles Bunk told the judge prosecutors told him more evidence was discovered. This was from Paula Boyd's cell phone. Judge Stephanie Boyd had enough.
There was a mistrial because the defense didn't get the discovery. And now we're back here for a discovery. I don't understand why everyone is waiting to the last minute to accomplish things.
She ordered weekly hearings with both sides and the lead detective to comb through the entire case. During those hearings, more evidence was found. But by March 2025, they completed that process, and Judge Boyd set the retrial date. August 18th, jury selection, and testimony to begin on August 19th.
Now, if found guilty, Curtis would automatically be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. We are live streaming this case gavel to gavel. You can watch on all of our digital platforms. And so watch with us to see if Paula Boyd gets justice. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
Still ahead here on the news at 6, we know that water rescues are an incredibly dangerous task. And now Texas DPS is sharing some stunning video from the rescues that they made to save lives on the morning of July 4th in the Texas Hill Country. We'll show you those images right after the break. Welcome back here live to the Tobin Center, where this concert Together for Texas is just about to begin. You know, we know that Texas DPS played a critical role on the morning of July 4th when those floodwaters hit. Our Patty Santos tonight is giving us a first look at some of the dramatic video of those rescues in the Texas Hill Country.
Received a call around 4 or 5 o'clock, to my recollection, to say, hey, we need to go to Kerrville now.
Took us a few hours to get in. What normally would have been probably an hour flight was just dodging terrain and picking through clouds. You know, it was getting there was half the battle for sure.
It was line of sight trying to get in to the area, and we were basically going hill to hill. If we could see the hill past the hill that's in front of us, then we go towards it and we try to, and we proceed from there.
DPS rescue swimmers Tyson Chow, Nicholas Duhan, and Dylan Burke were some of the first air rescue teams to arrive in Kirk County on July 4th.
The amount of destruction in Kerrville whenever we were flying over, I had never seen anything like it. It was devastating.
The weather was bad and it was a dangerous mission.
At the time, our role was, landing on a site. We didn't know what was going on. All we were told, there's bodies everywhere.
In those early hours, communication was not so clear.
It took people like Chow going over there and deconflicting some of those things to get people sent to the right rescues.
As much training as they go through, Duhan says people's desperation to be rescued made their jobs even more difficult.
Our first one was definitely the hardest one that I had ever been through, training or otherwise. It was a very difficult situation. She was on a very thin branch. We were worried about that branch breaking, and the river was directly below her, or not directly, it was still 20 feet up in the air.
The hardest task, finding survivors in an area covered in debris and nowhere safe to land.
We'd been dispatched to locate a family. We got there and had some trouble finding them at first. It was just all the houses were ripped off the slabs, and there was a lot of destruction. So it kind of made finding our survivors challenging.
Slowly, and just like training, injured adults, children, and a pregnant woman were rappelled to safety.
One of the victims had a large gash in his hand, cut it all the way down to the bone. And so that was something to work around with the rescue equipment. The first victim, I met with her afterwards, and she said that she was hit by a house and broke her ribs while she was in the water. And she ended up having a punctured lung.
Burke alone did 5 rescues. The teams worked countless hours over 2 days in hundreds of rescue events. Miraculously, none of the rescuers were injured.
Just like to give all glory to God. He had his hand on us that day, guided us, protected us on all those rescues we were doing.
Patty Santos, KSAT 12 News.
So much gratitude for all of our first responders. As we take a look outside with live cam, we know the heat is on today, but some pretty good rain chances could change that just a bit later in the week. Adam Caskey will have your full forecast when we come back.
Rain chances return starting tomorrow, and actually some days we have a pretty good opportunity. So rain chances the rest of the week and even into the weekend. It's not going to be equal opportunity daily or spatially across our area, but the highest odds will be Thursday. That's when we think we'll have the most numerous showers and thunderstorms. And we also have Aaron out in the Atlantic, a major Category 4 hurricane. And then on its heels, some likely new development, but Aaron's going to stay out to sea. That's the key with that storm. Still impacting the east coast of the U.S. with high surf, riptides, that kind of thing. But luckily, the center of that storm staying out to sea. Okay, rain chances tomorrow at 40% from 2 p.m. through 7 p.m. So scattered in nature. We'll likely see our first development around 1-2 p.m., scattered or widely separated, and then coming and going through the afternoon and into the early evening hours. Now, where we have some of the heaviest downpours, which could really be anywhere on the map. I know, for example, at 4 o'clock it has Stockdale Dry. You could have a downpour too. It just, the location isn't very reliable on these, but the overall coverage, I think, is good and fairly reliable. And notice how even some of our southern and western counties could get in on some of that action. And within some of the downpours, we could be talking a quick 1 to 2 inches, possibly even more in a few spots. So street flooding is really the primary concern tomorrow. I'm not going to rule out a rogue brief severe storm, but that's just the off chance possibility, not a probability in this situation. More than anything, just heavy rain with some lightning and thunder. Upper level heat high is starting to park itself and build itself over the four corners, so in the western U.S. So because of the clockwise flow around it, we have a northerly steering flow, which is going to throw some energy our way and little ripples in the upper level flow. The door is open for some disturbances, and it looks like we'll have those disturbances. And you look at the overall rainfall potential. This is the potential over the next 7 days. And south central Texas, we're in the running for a few inches here and there, which is not bad for this time of year. Typically, we're talking just how many 100-degree days in August, right? But now we actually have rain chances. And you look at the overall drought monitor, 20% chance, or 20% of Texas in drought. That's far west Texas and, of course, right here in our neck of the woods. So tomorrow at 40% chance. Wednesday, we don't think we have as many ingredients together, so 20% chance. But Thursday, we're up to 60%, Friday 40%, and then we drop down 20 to 30% over the weekend. Still opportunities, and again, they may not be huge every day, but Thursday stands out as the best opportunity for the most numerous showers and thunderstorms. 101, our high temperature today, so that's 16 triple-digit days so far this year. Last year at this time, we had 22. By this time in 2023, we had 53. And back in 2022, we had 58 by this day. So behind pace, and that's A-OK with me. Stinson at 100 right now, Rio Medina 97. We'll drop down to 95 at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 90, the typical evening routine this time of year. It's warm, it's muggy outside, making it to 98 tomorrow afternoon. So we're trimming off a few degrees locally. West of town, still thinking triple digits, 102 Uvalde. Carrizo Springs even 103, Del Rio 102. But rain chances rise, especially Thursday, Friday timeframe. And at that point, not as hot. Mid-90s or 94 for the high temperature. We'll be right back in a minute.
Welcome back live here to the Tobin Center for the Performing Arts. We are now less than 10 minutes away until the Together for Texas benefit concert. They have rung the bells here asking people to take their seats. Our own Ernie Zuniga will actually be up on the stage tonight. But before he takes the stage, he got a chance to talk with the organizer of this entire event, the man who saw the need and put this together, Steve Trevino. Ernie talks to Steve about why he thought this was so important to do after the July 4th floods.
I'm on the stage with the one and only Steve Trevino here, and I was just wondering, we were talking about 4th of July, just a terrible day that was. You saw what had happened. How soon did you jump into action and realize you had to put something like this together?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it was one of those deals where it kind of rolled out on me, because you go, we've had floods in Texas. Mm-hmm. And then as things were developing, you started going, oh, wait a minute, this is not a normal flood. And we have to do something. And I think everybody felt that. Everybody felt that feeling of like, okay, what can I do? Right? And as artists, when you get a phone call from the Tobin and they say, and it's one of those deals, everybody's thinking the same. And the Tobin goes, Steve, we got to do something. Yeah. Are you in? I said, of course I'm in.
And so you're ready?
I'm ready. We're excited. And I mean, Lyle Lovett's back there.
I saw him.
I call Gabe. Gabe's a Texan now. I call Gabe up. I go, you're going to get your Texan card today.
Yes, he is.
Because what we do in Texas is we
Fluffy.
give back to Texans.
Amen.
So yeah, Fluffy will be here and Bree Bagwell and Reckless Kelly. And man, I hate that I'm forgetting people. I mean, the lineup's just Jesse James Leha is here to throw to one of my favorite boxers. So yeah. I mean, it's just, and I just got to give it up to number one, to the city of San Antonio. To KSAT, to the Tobin Center, right? Because this is not, I mean, look back here. I mean, look at what they got to do, I know. And it's all for a cause. So, God bless Texas.
It's amazing. Couldn't have said it better myself, brother. Good luck tonight. You're going to be great. Thank you.
I like your suit.
Thank you. It's a rental. Back to you.
So many people have been giving of whatever their time, their talent, their treasure is in the wake of these floods to make a difference. And these well-known names in this lineup tonight are no different. They are doing the same here. We're just a few minutes away now. And don't forget, you can watch it here on KSAT, the Together for Texas concert. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. All right, those final bells ringing here. It's gotten a lot quieter out here in the lobby of the Tobin Center because we are moments away from things getting a whole lot louder inside the theater. Together for Texas, the benefit concert to raise money in the aftermath of the Hill Country floods starts in just a few minutes. You can watch it right here on KSAT and all of our digital platforms as well. Stephanie, Adam, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, and we'll see you here on the Night Beat. Good night.